Good morning and welcome to, what is this? All right, we got a little, morning drive mini here for you. I told you last week that we were changing things up a little bit and that we were switching for a short period of time to monthly updates. And the reason we were switching to the monthly updates is because we want to get some deep dives. We got some really cool stuff coming and I'm excited to share it with you. But the tough thing is if you put all your time and resources into just these weekly updates, then you can't get as deep as you want to get. So the goal is to get deeper now for a little while and build up some of the depth. And then once we build up some of the depth, then we can get back to the weekly conversations. I think we covered it. We got a good long backlog. We've got some great stuff to talk about. I know many of you have listened to these and I appreciate it. Many of you will re-listen to it. And if there's some of the morning drives that you haven't had a chance to listen to, this is a great time over the next couple of months to go back. But don't worry, we're still going to have morning drive, and I'm still going to get you some of these mini morning drive updates where we just take a few minutes to chat, kind of more informally, right? A few minutes to chat about things and ideas and concepts, so you can keep thinking and just keep rolling, and that's what's important. And today I just wanted to talk about this little funny idea about like the rules. And I always chuckle about the rules because when I took art class a long time ago, and when I was taking art class, I remember getting in an argument with a professor, and it wasn't really an argument, it was a conversation about following the rules. And I used to say, how come all these famous artists don't follow the rules and you insist that we do follow the rules? And I remember what he said to me. And he said, you have to know the rules so well that you know how to break them. And that idea of knowing the rules so well that you know how to break them is really, really accurate. It's true. And you can break the rules. And one of the things that many of you are going to find out, and the reason why the world opens up so much to you, as you get more and more experience, is that you start learning the rules and then you know when and how to break them. And it's not just actually breaking the rules, it's also about understanding when the rules don't apply. And the kicker is that so frequently people learn these rules of thumb and they say, well, this is how the world works, and then they get frustrated as all get out when somebody else takes advantage of a too good to be true opportunity and it works. And they say, well, it clearly sounded like it was something that was too risky, something that you shouldn't do. And that happens all the time, right? I mean, most of the deals that I end up doing are ones that somebody thinks is too good to be true. I closed a real estate deal that was half the price of anything else competitive in the market. I mean, it was a no-brainer. And you know what? There was nothing hidden. The guy just had to sell. Most people probably passed it up because of the price, thinking there was some hidden problem, when the truth is there was an underlying reason. And when you understand the rules, then you can pay attention to what reasons the rules wouldn't apply or what ways you can break the rules without it causing any problems. And so for example, with this property, I was able to buy it because I understood the seller motivations. It reminds me of when I bought a truck a long time ago. I went to this dealership and they had an F-150 that was 6 months old, right? Now, Ford trucks, they sell for a good amount. A 6 months old Ford truck, that was like a fourth of the value. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was like 20,000 miles on it. It was a fourth of the value, new. And it was like literally $10,000 for a 6 month old car. And, I had the time to investigate it. So I go look at it and I'm talking to the guy, and he said he had it listed for $24,000 and just kept knocking $1,000 off the price every month, and nobody was buying it. And he said, he had some people look at it first, and then people just stopped. And I think what happens is, when that price gets to $15,000, $16,000, it starts, people start thinking, hey, that's too good to be true. There's no way that can be really so cheap. There must be a problem with it. And so therefore those buyers skip it and they stop looking. There's a number of companies that have discovered by raising the price, they actually sell more because the price communicates something to the buyers. And that's a great example where, there's a lot of people that lost out on that opportunity to buy that place because they thought, hey, clearly it's too cheap. It can't be good. But there's nothing wrong with it. I drove that truck for several years and sold it at a profit. I sold it for more than I paid for it, right? And I bought it from a dealership. I didn't even buy it from some guy in the corner street. I bought it from a dealership. And it was a small dealership in the middle of nowhere, Watertown, Ohio. I can't even find that on a map today, but it was Watertown, Ohio. And the idea there being that those kind of things happen all the time. But if you don't understand the rules, then you don't know how to break them, and you don't know when something that's too good to be true actually is true. It's kind of funny. I'll tell you guys another little story. So we bought a lawnmower, and this is hilarious. So if this is the first time you've listened to me, you need to go listen to some other stuff, because again, this advice is going to sound misguided if you don't understand how things work. So I bought a lawnmower, and I was excited about this lawnmower, and they were offering 0% financing. So I talked to him about it a little bit, and to make a long story short, it was literally going to be 0% financing. So I was going to pay, I forget, $4,000 cash. They would not take credit card. Okay, so I had to pay $4,000 cash, or I could do 0% financing for 5 years, no catch, no added cost, no added fees, nothing. So I've got two options, right? I can get a free loan of $4,000, or I can pay $4,000 cash. But wait, there's more, right? I feel like I'm one of those commercials that you're going to see on Sunday morning. But the other kicker is those payments that you can make for 5 years, you could pay with a credit card, right? So I get 1.5% to 2% rewards on my credit card. They're going to give me a 1.5% discount to wait and pay them over 5 years instead of paying them today, right? Think about that. They're going to give me free money not to pay them. Like, that sounds like a joke, right? Again, it sounds too good to be true. Now I'm 3 years into that, and I paid for 3 years. There's no gimmicks. There's no games. It was an authentic deal. It was an incentive from the manufacturer, and it's just sometimes that's how incentives fall. I don't think that was the intention, because I was prepared to pay cash. But once again, if you're going to do free financing and you're going to let me pay credit card on that financing, not only am I getting, getting current benefit with future money, but I'm getting current benefit with less future money, right? Now, the reason why I say you have to really understand the rules before you try to break them, however, is because while this is a clear example of a situation where we were able to break the rule, per se, the rule of thumb, right? And we were able to go get this loan for a lawnmower. I mean, who gets a loan for a lawnmower? And I'm sure there's people out there that have, but odds are if you need a loan for a lawnmower, unless you're a lawn landscaping company, big difference. Unless you're a lawn landscaping company, if you need a loan to buy a lawnmower, you shouldn't be buying the lawnmower, right? You shouldn't be buying a lawnmower. I remember once hearing some people gripe about the idea that, banks only give money to people who don't need it. Yes, you're right. The only people who should be getting loans are people who don't need it, right? The only time that you should ever buy a $4,000 lawnmower and get a loan for it is if you have no problem affording a $4,000 lawnmower, and the loan is just a creative way to save money or make additional money, right? If you're playing some leverage or whatnot, that's the only time you should ever be getting a loan. You should never be buying something you can't afford and use a loan as a justification to afford it. That doesn't make sense. Someone's probably going to make the exception about the house. And again, there's always exceptions, right? There's exceptions to every rule. But the point is, if you don't understand the rules, then you don't understand when the exceptions apply and why. And the only reason a house ever makes sense is because often you can pay less in payments to buy a house, especially when you take into consideration the amount that you're actually losing, which is interest, than you'd be spending to rent. And, because you have to pay for it anyway. But if it would never make sense to go buy a $500,000 house instead of a $500 a month apartment, right? You've got to be comparing apples to apples and make a smart financial move. And so again, 99%, and this is not a real statistic, this is me making stuff up on the fly, but 99% of people who get a loan are getting a loan to buy something they can't afford. Okay? That is a mistake. It's going to come back and bite you. But if you're getting a loan for something you can't afford because there's an incentive in place that benefits you by taking advantage of that loan, then that makes a lot of sense. But the problem is those situations are rare. It's rare that you actually have those kind of incentives in place where you benefit from getting a loan. You've got to have an alternative use of your capital. I can't tell you how many people I know that sit there and say, of course I did the loan on my car. Money's only 3%. Isn't that great? 3% is almost free. And I say, okay, so what are you doing with the money? Nothing. Bought a big screen TV? No. That means you just borrowed 3.5% to buy a big screen TV. How does that make any sense? It doesn't make sense, right? Now, if you tell me that instead of doing a 3.5% loan, you took that entire amount of cash that you were going to spend that loan, and then you go spend that on a mutual funds or stocks or a real estate property that's generating cash, that's a whole different story, right? If you get 7% for your money and it'll cost you 3.5%, that's a no-brainer, right? That's free money. But 99% of the people out there aren't doing that. You're not going out there and playing a spread. Instead, you're buying something you can't afford and using a loan to pay for it. So it's difficult because when I'm around people, I have to claim that I'm against debt and that I would never use debt. The truth of the matter is I would use debt. But if you tell somebody who doesn't understand how debt works never to use debt, or that it's okay to use debt, then they're going to go buy a car they can't afford. They're going to go buy a TV on a credit card. They're going to do this stuff because they don't understand what it does to them. They've got to understand those rules. Once you understand the rules, then you know how to break them. Once you understand the rules, you know when the exceptions apply. You know when that car is literally okay to buy. You know when the loan is smart to take. You know when these kind of situations apply. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that you got to learn the rules so you know when to break the rules. But it gets tricky because, I always talk about the financial advice. The whole premise of the Millionaire Who concept is, stabilize, secure, succeed. But the rules for succeed are not the same as the rules for stabilize, right? Stabilize is don't use any debt, get away from it. Succeed, use debt. You can't jump from stabilize to succeed by using debt, right? And this is where it confuses people. They're like, well, isn't that debt? No, it's not. There's good debt, there's bad debt. You got to understand how you handle debt and how you leverage debt. And it's like saying, is a car good? Well, a car is good, but not if you let my 5-year-old go drive down a highway. It's not going to be good for anyone. It's going to hurt her and it's going to hurt others. Cars can be good when you know how to use them, when you know the rules. And then, using a racing analogy, a lot of non-racing people would know is, you watch the movie Cars by Pixar, and in that they talk about how, on the dirt track racing, when you're going really fast, you want to, turn right to turn left, and that confuses the heck out of the main character in Cars, Rusty McQueen, for quite a while, until finally he realizes how it works. And that's kind of the idea. Like, you learn the rules, you understand the rules, you follow the rules, your life's going to be so much better. Then you start understanding how to break those rules and when those rules don't apply and when you can be creative about things, right? You know when you can twist things around. You understand when you take those bigger risks. You understand when you can do those things that you didn't think you could do earlier. And I had a conversation via email with somebody that I've been kind of working with for a long time. And, he was getting frustrated about, my advice that you need to start small instead of big. And he pretty much keeps saying, but I don't want to work that hard for just a few dollars. I don't want to. But the problem is, again, you've got to understand how it works. You've got to understand those rules. It's not until you understand those rules and how things work that you're going to start figuring out how to break them and how to, expand them. And that's kind of, that's counterintuitive. It's not intuitive to think that you have to follow the rules in order to learn how to break them. It's not intuitive at all. But once you've mastered them, you understand so well how the things work. Then after you understand how things work so well, then you can go ahead and take it to the next level and figure out the nuances and figure out the exceptions and figure out how to break them without, there being blowback or serious issues, right? And it's the people who try to break the rules and the people who try to find exceptions to the rules without understanding them that fall into trouble. Go back to the car analogy. Most people who are trying to buy a car for 1/4 the value are going to end up making a really, really bad decision. They're going to end up with a total wrecked car. They're going to end up with a rebuilt title. They're going to end up scammed. Something like that, right? And that's the unfortunate situation of the matter. But when you become an expert in an area like buying cars, it's silly. Most people don't even think about becoming an expert in there. But once you become an expert in buying cars, those opportunities are all over the place. I can't, once again, I don't think I ever would buy a car for market value. I buy cars undervalued because it's so easy to find cars undervalued. But again, if you don't understand what you're looking for, then you're going to walk yourself into a hole. You're going to walk yourself right into a wall because you're going to buy something that's not okay to buy. It's not safe to buy. So I don't recommend breaking the rules until you understand them, right? I don't recommend you getting out a loan for a lawnmower unless you really understand your situation, you understand the loan situation, you understand all the moving parts. Then you can figure out the exception to the rule in the one situation that makes sense. Then it's okay. But that's the minority of cases. Most loans are going to screw you over. Most times that people get out loans, it's not in their best interest. It's not going to help them. Most of the time you break the rules, it hurts. So you really can't break the rules unless you're confident you understand the rules and you know them so well that you know how to break them. So really, I guess the big takeaway for this conversation is my art teacher at Ohio Northern University, Britt Rowe, he was 100% accurate when he said you need to understand the rules before you break the rules. You need to be so good at the rules that you know how to break them right. And I hope others can take that little nugget of advice that he shared with me and also realize that, isn't it awesome how you get these lessons, like a lesson from art class that applies to finance and business and the rest of your life? That's so cool, right? I mean, that's really what life's all about. There's lessons all around us, and we can learn something in one area and apply it to somewhere else. And that's just awesome about the world. There's so much we can learn. You don't have to just focus in one area. You focus in different areas, and the skill sets transfer pretty well. So anyway, once again, learn the rules so you can break the rules. All right, once again, this is Brooks Fiesinger. Brooks Fiesinger of BrooksFiesinger.com and MillionaireWho.com, where we help you stabilize your wallet, secure your future, and succeed in entrepreneurship finance. Once again, this is a little morning drive mini where we informally just cover one little topic. And I want you to stay tuned for our next significant release of a morning drive, and also stay tuned to some fun and exciting enhancements coming to the MillionaireWho.com website. All right, have a great day, and go make the impossible happen.